In a small, unchanging village, two characters stand out: a wise old man and an ambitious young man. Let's paint a picture of our first character, the older man. He's the kind of man who's seen the world without leaving the village. His wisdom was not born from formal education but crafted from life's crucible. Though aged, his eyes sparkle with the knowledge of countless sunrises and sunsets, seasons changing, and life persisting. He's lived here his entire life, as did his father and his father's father before him. His wisdom is the village's compass, guiding its people through the uncharted waters of life. Now, imagine the young man. He's the embodiment of dreams yet to be realized and ambitions yet to be fulfilled. His eyes shine not with the wisdom of the past but with the promise of the future. He's the kind of person who looks at the stars and sees not just the night sky but a canvas of infinite possibilities. He's the sort of dreamer who envisions a world beyond the village that's constantly changing, evolving, and growing. This village, our stage for today, is where time seems to have stood still. It's a place where traditions are etched in stone, and change is a stranger. The old houses, the ancient trees, and the winding paths tell tales of a time gone by that seems to have frozen in this village. The rhythm of life here is dictated not by the ticking of clocks but by the sun's rising and setting. Generations have come and gone, but the village has remained the same. The young man finds himself at a crossroads in this world, where the old and the new coexist. He's a dreamer in a world that fears the unknown, an innovator in a land that reveres the old ways. In the midst of this unchanging world, the young man yearned for something more. One day, the young man approached the old man, seeking advice on his dreams. It was a quiet afternoon in the village, the sun high and warm. The older man was sitting under the shade of a large tree, his eyes reflecting years of wisdom. Full of dreams and ambition, the young man approached him with respect and curiosity. "Old man," he began, his voice trembling slightly with anticipation. "I have dreams that extend beyond the horizons of this village. But I am unsure of when to change, how to change, and why." The old man, steady and calm, replied, "Change, my boy, is as natural as the wind that rustles the leaves of this old tree. It is as inevitable as the sun that rises and sets each day. Just as the seasons change, so do we." His voice was soft, yet it carried the weight of years of experience. We change as we grow, as we learn, as we experience life. We change when we stumble, when we triumph, when we love. And just as the tree sheds its leaves in autumn to bloom anew in spring, we must embrace change to grow and flourish. "But how do I know when to change, old man?" asked the young man, his eyes wide with curiosity. The older man smiled, his eyes twinkling with understanding. "Experience, my boy, will be your guide. It will teach you when to change, when to hold on, and when to let go. Just as the sailor reads the sky and the sea to navigate his journey, you must read your experiences to navigate your life." "And the necessity of change?" asked the young man. The older man looked at him, his gaze deep and thoughtful. "Necessity, my boy, is the mother of change. It is the force that pushes us out of our comfort zones, that challenges us to adapt, to evolve. It is the fire that fuels our transformation." The old man's words left a deep impression on the young man, stirring thoughts of change within him. With the old man's advice in mind, the young man started to see his world differently. As if waking from a dream, he began to see the possibilities around him, the potential for change in the unchanging village. No longer content with the status quo, he yearned for a fresh wind to sweep the cobblestone streets and breathe new life into the old ways. The young man started small. He began implementing changes in his life, thinking, and daily routines. He planted new seeds in his garden, read books from distant lands, and started conversations that challenged the old ways of thinking. But change, as we know, is often met with resistance. Some in the village clung tightly to tradition and saw the young man's actions threatening their way of life. They pushed back, they argued, and they resisted. But the young man did not falter. He was like a tree standing firm in the face of a storm, bending but not breaking under the pressure. Yet, amidst the struggle, the winds of change began to blow. The seeds he planted grew into vigorous, healthy plants. The books he read sparked ideas that ignited the minds of others. The conversations he started became dialogues, then debates, then a village-wide discourse on change. Slowly but surely, the village started to transform. The cobblestone streets remained, but new ideas flowed like a river. The old houses stood firm, but within their walls, minds were expanding, and perspectives were shifting. The traditions were honored, but new customs were also being embraced. The village was the same, yet it was entirely different. The change took work. It was a journey fraught with challenges and setbacks, with moments of doubt and fear. But the young man was determined. A vision and belief in the power of change drove him. He understood that change was about doing things differently and seeing things differently. And so, he pressed on, steadfast and unwavering. Change was not easy, but the young man was determined to see it through. As time passed, the village began to experience the benefits of change. The young man's actions, driven by necessity, had begun to transform the once unchanging village. The stagnant waters of the village pond were now fresh and clear, thanks to the new filtration system he had introduced. The once dusty and uneven village paths were now smooth and well maintained, making it easier for older people to walk around. New crops were introduced, bringing diversity to their meals and various colors to the village fields. The villagers' lives were improving, their spirits lifting. Necessity had become the mother of invention for the young man. The villagers' needs had spurred him into action, and he had brought about positive changes through his efforts. But it was not just physical changes. His actions had sparked a shift in mindset among the villagers. They began to see the value in embracing new ideas and stepping out of their comfort zones. They began to understand that change was not something to fear but a necessary part of growth and improvement. The older man watched all this with a knowing smile. He had seen the young man's potential and understood the necessity of change. He had shared his wisdom with the young man, and now, he was witnessing the fruits of that wisdom. The village was thriving, and its people were happier and healthier. Where there was once resistance, there was now acceptance. Where there was once fear, there was now courage. The villagers had learned that change, though often difficult, was necessary. It was the key to progress, to betterment. The young man had shown them that. His actions demonstrated the power of change, the importance of adapting to new circumstances, of evolving with the times. The older man's wisdom, the young man's actions, and the necessity of change had come together to breathe new life into the village. They had shown that change, when embraced, could lead to beautiful things. Change, driven by necessity, had breathed new life into the old village. In the end, the young man, now older and wiser, reflected on his journey. Sitting under the shade of the old banyan tree, he pondered the lessons he had learned about change, wisdom, experience, and necessity. He realized that change is an inherent part of life, a natural progression that cannot be halted. It's like the river that flows, the sun that rises, the seasons that come and go. Change is inevitable, and resisting it is like holding back the tide with a single hand. But change, on its own, is directionless, like a ship without a captain. That's where wisdom comes in. Wisdom is the compass that gives direction to the winds of change. It's the guiding light that illuminates the path ahead, helping us navigate through the rough seas of life. The voice tells us how to change, what to change, and in what direction to steer our ship. Experience, he learned, is the best teacher. It tells you when to change. It's the school of hard knocks, where lessons are learned not from textbooks but from the trials and tribulations of life. It's the bitter pill that, once swallowed, makes you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The fire tempers the steel, making it tough and unbreakable. Necessity, he realized, is the catalyst for change. The spark ignites the fire, the force that pushes you out of your comfort zone and propels you towards change. It's the hunger that drives you, the thirst that compels you, the need that urges you to change. Necessity is the mother of invention, driving evolution and progress. These lessons had a profound impact on him and the village. He saw the town transform, grow, and evolve. He saw the villagers adapt, learn, and change. He saw the power of change, the importance of wisdom, the value of experience, and the necessity of change. Change is natural. Wisdom guides it, experience times it, and necessity drives it. This was the lesson the village learned through one young man's journey.